Good morning. It's Ariane with Investing Architect. It's a cold Thursday morning here in Houston. We're in the mid 30s, which means a couple more degrees and we shot this whole operation down. But this morning's video is about one of my favorite subjects, and it's on structure. And here's to illustrate what I mean. I'm going to tell you a little story that most of us are familiar with, about an experience that most of us have gone through. So let's say that you're in the market to buy a car and you can't pay cash for it. So you walk into a dealership, you negotiate with them, and you walk out of there with a new car and a $450 payment for the next 60 months. Once that payment system is set up, you're supposed to make this payment on the first of every month for 5 years. So over that 5-year time span, you've paid about $30,000, including principal and interest, right? But what I'm most interested in is what happens in the next 5 years after that, right? So let's assume that you bought this car, you paid it off, and you're not in the market for another car for the next 5 years. You're going to keep the same paid off car. The logic says that if you paid the bank $30,000 over 5 years to pay off this car, then you ought to be able to then save the same $30,000 over the next 5-year time span for investment capital or what have you. But that almost never happens, right? People are never able to save the same amount of money, even though they have just demonstrated that they could do that when it comes to paying the car off. So what's going on here? Well, what's going on is the main difference between the two is structure, right? So when the bank set up this payment system for you, they set up a game, they set up a structure with very clear rules. And those rules are, you have to make this payment, $450, first of every month. If you don't, we'll take your car away. And humans, we need that sort of structure to be able to stay on track for long periods of time. And, we operate very well under those types of structures because if you think about it, many other formations in life are structures as well. For example, when you're a part of a family, right? That's a certain type of structure with certain types of rules and chores and bedtimes and things of that nature. School is also another type of structure where we know how to operate when we're in school. They tell us, 30% of your grade is part of your midterm, and then 20% is attendance. So it's very clear rules, and we can operate very well under a structure that has very clear rules. That's why when you get out of college and you now have to sort of make up your own structure, that's very difficult for us to do. We're almost waiting for somebody to walk in and say, here's what you do next, and here's what the rules of the game are. In the next 5 years, right, that structure is not there because we haven't established it. We need to do it ourselves. And if we don't establish it, what ends up happening is we fall prey to inertia and momentum, and we just can't quite figure out where the money went. We don't have really anything to show for it, but we just know that we didn't save it. So that's why, when it comes to, building wealth or real estate investing, that structure needs to be in place in order for you to do that. So when you take your hard saved capital and you put it into an investment property, that investment property is a wealth building structure because now you've got a mortgage payment that you've got to pay. You've got this whole setup that now puts you into this mode that for the next 10 years, you're going to have to play by the rules of this game. So it gets you out of the inertia and out of the momentum into a very clearly defined structure. But beyond just purchasing the one property, having an overall investment strategy provides that structure for you. And that's one of the things that our clients find the most helpful with our blueprint plans, is that it provides a very clear structure on not only where you're starting and where you want to go in the next 10 or 15 years, but it also provides shorter term structures, where are you supposed to be on year 1 and year 2 and year 3, and what are the actions that you need to take in year 1 and year 2 and year 3, and how do you know that you're on track? So it's a type of strategy that we are very prone to utilizing, because all our lives in school, in our families, when we get a mortgage, when we buy a car, we have shown that we can operate with very clear rules like that, right? So if you want to achieve major goals that take a long period of time to achieve, and most of major goals do need quite a bit of time, then you need to establish structure. So I always tell my clients that if you pay something off, right, you should never get rid of that payment. And what I mean is that that payment is a structure that you were already used to. So what you should do is you should replace that structure with another structure that serves you. Meaning the same payment that you were paying towards your car, you should set up an auto withdrawal structure that takes that same payment and puts it into your capital account, right? So you're not really changing your behavior is the same, but you're just establishing a new structure to where instead of paying the bank, now you're paying yourself and you're investing in your future. And if you do that, you will find that you will be able to reach those big goals a lot easier than you would if the structure was not there. So that was my thought for the day. Structure is critical to us achieving big goals. So pay attention and establish some structures in your life that serve you. Like, structures don't have to necessarily come from institutions and banks and our parents and our school administrators. If you can get good at establishing structures that serve you over the long period of time, there's nothing really that you can't achieve. So that was my message for today. I thought that was helpful for you. I hope it is helpful for you. And if you have any questions or comment below, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for watching.